is The Last Word. Good evening and welcome to The Last Word. This is your weekly dose of data, insight, and truth. What we do here every week is we take one main topic and then we go deep into it, looking in depth into various aspects of that topic before we conclude with the last word to conclude that debate. And that's what we're going to be doing here tonight. Of course, I'm not alone. My name is Eric Latif. I'm joined by Zaha Ndimuli, our high priest of Gen Z. She is a feminist. She is one who shoots from the hip, and she'll always be the one that engages with those hard and tough questions. And then, of course, we also have Sharon Momanyi, award-winning journalist from several disciplines, who always chases the impact stories. Well, we're going to be looking at this impacts tonight. We'll be telling you. Our topic tonight is on devolution, and especially on the Constitution. Does Kenya need 47 counties? Does Kenya need 47 counties? We are asking that question already on our social media. You can go to our YouTube live stream or Facebook or X or Instagram, and you can start voting. And we'll be looking at what you're saying throughout our conversation. We are also joined here by a live audience and some experts. We have Kevin Osido, who is a governance, devolution, and policy expert from the County Governance Watch. We also have Wangari Muikia, who is a public finance management expert from Expertise Global. And we have Professor Bob Sihanya, advocate and law lecturer, who's been involved in matters of constitution, making the constitution, and discussions around constitution. Welcome. How we always begin this show is with the hot button. What's been this issue that's been burning you the whole week? And we start with Sharon.
Yes, my hot button this week is based on Kenya's mission in Haiti, the peacekeeping mission, which the mandate was coming to an end the first week of October. And the UN now is planning to send a replacement with a new force called the Gang Suppression Force. And I just want us to listen to some of the officials who are speaking about this issue.
We note the next international force must be resourced to hold territory, secure infrastructure, and complement the Haitian National Police.
I urge the Council to act without delay and authorize an international force supported by the United Nations through logistical and operational backing and predictable financing.
So the question of resourcing, financing, and support for the teams, the peacekeeping teams in Haiti is coming out loudly. And we remember that this is a mission that really the Kenyan government, was shrouded in a lack of transparency. There was always the questions of what is the priority for Kenya taking part in this mission. And as this comes to an end, I think that this call to transparency must come even as this mission comes to an end. The Kenyan government needs to tell the Kenyans how successful was this mission and exactly what was our priority in taking part in this, looking at the pressing needs back at home. Because even at one point we had to chip into the financing of this peacekeeping mission. So really we have to reflect and also take a look at the lessons that we have learned as Kenyans. But at the same time, just paying respects to the brave soldiers who took part in this mission. That's my hot button tonight.
No, I was following up on it, and the US and Panama collaboration for the suppression force comes in saying that they need 5,000 in troops to be able to suppress the Haitian war that is happening. And with the port of Prince being 85 to 90% fully controlled with gangs. So does it mean, are the Haitians correct when they say we are seeing the Kenyan service here, but we're not seeing any difference, and that we have been victims and not beneficiaries of this engagement? But also, the government has spent almost 21 billion per year in this mission, which would have risen up to around 36 billion per year. Does that translate to the needs of Kenyans at large? And where was the transparency? How many police officers went? What is happening right there has been a very big problem. So I think as much as it's important for us to have meaningful multinational convergence when it comes to security, the dent of security in the country is already a problem, then what does it mean for us to have an international relations focus that makes sense for Kenyans entirely?
Yeah. And I think just carrying the nation in the communication, I feel like there was a failure in carrying the nation along, so that we understand this mission, that we can rally around the flag, so to speak, by understanding. Because every time there was a question, there was really no transparency in communication in why exactly us and what are we trying to do with this as a strategic thing to do.
Very many things to consider there, and as the mission comes to an end, like you've said, it coincided with very many other things that were happening domestically. So whatever communication was coming was already starting from a negative point for the government to communicate. And so it was a tough one, and they'll have also to come and account for it. We've lost a number of soldiers here. Some may come back here injured, and so on and so forth. So what does that mean? And so for the next time that Kenya volunteers to be part of an international peacekeeping mission or whatever mission, then the Kenyans should be able to understand then. But that will be based on what exactly the government
accountability
says.
to the families. Because I remember covering a story where the family was had information that their family member who was part of the troop was missing, and they were struggling to get communication from the Kenyan government as to the day-by-day report of where are we now, is he still missing, is it a search or rescue mission. So that kind of accountability down to the soldiers' families as well, and what it means now in terms of compensation, even as the mission comes to a fold.
Indeed. My hot button tonight is pegged on an article that appeared on the Daily Nation today, which was basically saying that some school heads may be forced to send children home just days after they open school because capitation has not arrived in those schools. This time because the government is still conducting an audit on the number of learners who are actually in those schools. Brings me to basically this point. And I want to tell all of us as the adults of this country called Kenya that we are failing our children. And this is how I say we are failing our children. Our constitution, which I'm sure Professor Sihanya will very easily tell us, has an article called Article 53, which is the rights of children. Children have rights in our constitution. Right to life, right to nationality, right to a free and basic compulsory education, among very many other rights, including right to housing, right to food, right to health, and others. What have we done to them when it comes to education? Let's just roll back and work with me here. 2019, the government decides to roll out the competency-based curriculum, then called CBC. So grades 1, 2, 3 were then incorporated into CBC. So just do your first finger like this. That is 2019. Grade 3s are in 3. The next year, 2020, grade 3s are in 4. The next year, 2021, grade 4s are in 5. The next year, 2022, grade 5s are in 6. Now, come 2022 and they're in 6, CBC says they shall transition to 7. 7 is junior school. And the entire country comes to an abrupt halt upon the realization that our children are going to be transitioning. What do we do? Where are they going? Are they going to junior school in primary school or junior school in secondary school? And we had a whole national discussion and debate around that. We ended up taking these children to primary schools, and then we realized, oh my goodness, we need teachers. We don't have teachers. We need labs. We don't have labs. They spent an entire term without trained teachers teaching them, without labs where they could go to school. Some of them even second term and third term. Those same grade 7s are now in grade 9. And we are again having this another whole conversation. Oh my God, they're going into 10. Where is 10? It's in secondary school. So what happens to them? How do they go into their career paths and so on and so forth? What are we doing? All those years, it's like we did not know that there'll be a grade 7. We did not know that there'll be a grade 9 into 10. And we are just crossing the bridges when we get there. That's absolute nonsense. We are failing our children. And if you're not angry enough, we shall continue failing our children. Right now, we have about 12 million learners in grade 1 up to grade 9. That's an entire generation of learners who are just going through things trisex, while we adults are battling over very many other things, including what we shall be discussing tonight, but not asking our questions. what are we doing to our children? We are failing our children. And that's my hot button.
I think every time, and I like how you've termed it, we are failing our children, because it's so grandeur how, I remember in Kandutura Primary School in Laikipia North, when there's a storm that, you know, fled off all the classrooms, rained on the kids' books, and the kids were in the rain for literally days with no government response. And in my head, I'm looking at the fact that, you know, we are failing them from the infrastructure, from the reality of what education, quality education looks like, with almost 85.5 billion already spent in these transitions by the 2024-2025 financial year. That's for primary school, and around 61.68 billion for junior schools. And it's like that doesn't translate to the fact that we're seeing kids actually get to school safely, have a proper learning. Teachers are still not efficient and enough. We're not paying attention to the quality of Kenyan children at the moment. And like you said, we're distorting their future, because the pragmatic confusion of what the CBE has actually showcased is the fact that we're going to have a situation whereby even in high school, you don't even know what course you want to do because you missed such important steps in your learning. Yeah. It's insane. And I think it's absolute nonsense, as you claimed, because that's the most upright right of children in the country, yet the one ministry that is complaining of so many issues, yeah, where children spend 70% of their time, which is all terms in school. So what are we really doing? What's our focus in the country? Right. It's insane.
It is insane. And I think we're just not angry enough, as Erica said. We're just not angry enough, because it is unbelievable that we can have that kind of chaos regarding children, regarding education. So we're not angry enough. The sooner we are, the faster we can sort it out.
Indeed.
I think let's get into the topic of the day.
We have two members of the audience,
yeah,
who also have a hot button.
Oh, yeah.
And I think somebody has a mic, right? And to my left, there's a lady with a mic. There's a gentleman with a mic here, right? You can tell us your name, the lady with the hot button. Tell us your name and your hot button for the week.
Thank you. My name is Lena Mati. I'm a lawyer. My hot button tonight is with regards to what is happening with the Ministry of Health, and specifically with regards to SHA and the allocation of public funds into ghost hospitals. Now, in the book of Mark 23, for Christians and even for the rest, Jesus goes ahead and calls the Pharisees and the teachers of the law snakes, you brood of vipers. Now, Leonard D. White says in his book, Introduction to the Study of Public Administration, that in the broader context, the end of public administration is the ultimate objective of every state, meaning that public administration is used to achieve the objective, whether negative or positive. Now, if you look at SHA was a system that was created last year. A lot of money, 100 billion, was invested into it, and we were told that, you know what, this is for the best interest of the country, because we are going to have coverage of the vulnerable groups, you're going to extend coverage to the informal sector, the normal common Mwananchi is going to be able to afford healthcare. But now we look at it and we wonder, was the objective the public interest, or was it for private gain? But regardless, you know, that is already done. There's nothing that we can do. But I believe that there's actually something that we can do. What is the next step are we going to do? Are we going to take accountability? And who is going to be accountable? Because as a country, we have a history whereby anything that comes or touches on corruption, those corruption cases suddenly, all of a sudden, just disappear. So it was there, and then it's no longer there. Actually, we have a problem whereby we create stars out of corruption. So when a scandal has arisen, a star comes out. People come out to defend their own people. Communities gather and say, you know what, we are being attacked. But the truth is, someone has to take accountability. Someone needs to be held accountable.
Right.
Again, when it comes to accountability, who is being held accountable? Because one man cannot be held accountable alone. We have the man at the top and we have the man at the bottom. So each and every person must carry their cross. And I hope that every man is going to carry their cross. Otherwise, we want all the brood of vipers out of the government. Thank you.
That's a good one. That's a good hot button. Gentleman with the blue T-shirt, you have a hot button as well.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Gishane Mwangi. I am the SG for Kiambu Youth Movement and also a founding member for Kiambu Liberation Movement. My hot button today stems from the celebrations we had last week of Katiba at 15. It came and dawned on me on this week that majority of the people that we have in Kenya actually do not know what Article 1 of the Constitution says. And the majority of the people are going to form the people who are going to be majority of voters come 2027. And this is a dangerous point we are in. Because come 2027, when these people who are clueless go back to the ballot, they are either going to vote, one, for the same leaders we keep on complaining about, who will come now back branded as saviors, or two, they're going to vote in leaders who are as clueless as them. And we are going to still go back to the same place where we are in, complaining about bad leadership. Now, what I want to tell Kenyans is this. We have a timeline from now up to 2027. It's up to you, each and every one of you. Do not fail yourself. Do not fail us. We as the youth are calling up and calling everybody out that it is time for you to understand what does your member of parliament do and what is he supposed to do? What powers, what are the limits of your members of parliament? What are the limits of the members of national, the county assemblies? Because these are the people who are supposed to make laws, make changes in the counties, and actually, the topic you're talking about, devolution. There's the people who are supposed to steer it forward. But we keep on finding ourselves stuck. So I'm telling each and every Kenyan, it's up to you. Stop failing yourself. Before you go and complain about the leaders we have, that they are doing badly, they are not doing what you expected. What did you expect them to do? They were clueless in the first place. So you do not expect them to go there if they do not understand the Constitution. They do not understand Article 95 of the Constitution themselves. How will they represent you? That is my hot button for today.
Very good hot buttons. Very, very well articulated.
Comprehensive as well.
Very well articulated. Get to the topic.
Right, let's get to the topic of the day. Now, Kenya has just marked 15 years of the new 2010 Constitution and 12 years since the onset of devolution. Now, the Kenyan people, through this Constitution, aspired and dreamed to have government coming closer to the people through devolution and, ending historical marginalization. And we just want to take stock of the journey so far. Have we realized the dream of devolution? And one of the recurring debates around this subject is whether Kenya needs 47 counties. Let's listen to Raila Odinga, who spoke about this issue last week as Kenya marked Katiba Day, and also C.S. Mbadi, who has been very vocal about the number of counties that Kenya has.
Kenya, in my view, is too tiny for 47 devolved units. We are just 5 short of the United States, which is a continent. I won't advocate for abolition of any county, but I believe we are ripe for a 3-tier system that has county, regional, and national governments.
Will not help this economy grow as we want. If we had 14 counties with a system where resources are devolved through those counties to the local areas to get the money, it happens. It's actually politics which is the danger to the statement that I made. How I wish Kenyans would discuss this statement objectively without applying politics to it.
And I think we're just going to do right that and discuss this without getting emotions into it objectively. And I want us to start by just engaging us here in the town hall tonight. Do you think that Kenya needs 47 counties? And you have placards with you. On the green side, you can vote yes, that we need 47 counties. And on the red side, you'll be voting no. We don't need 47 counties, that indeed there are too many for our country. So do we need 47 counties? Green for yes, red for no.
Wow. Looks like we have a balanced audience today.
This is almost a perfect balance. So we're going to take quick takes to support what you're voting for. Whoever believes that the 47 counties are just right, well thought out, you can just rise up and support your answer. Please go ahead.
Go first?
Yes, you can introduce yourself.
So my name is Eric Butura. I'm here representing an organization called Bunge Mashinani. Bunge Mashinani exists to organize communities around the issues of civic education for meaningful public participation. I have categorically, and this is not the first time, that I've been objected to the idea of 47 county government. Our constitution has borrowed heavily from South Africa, UK, and the US. And I want you to imagine where a whole county governor of Tana River, with a population of 147,000 head count, when the smallest state in America, which is Wyoming, has more than 6 million people in terms of population. Then you look at California, which has one governor, yet it has population of 39 million. And you look at the largest county in Kenya, which is Nairobi, has only 4 million people. So it is like we took literally the issue of devolution, and we divided a state like California 47 times. So we have so many demigods in terms of governors. Then you look at the issue of why this again is a disadvantage. The issue of financing the county, the funds are channeled through the governor, the executive. And as much as we want to celebrate successes in devolution, we must also acknowledge that with devolution came devolved corruption. And I want to quote an example in Kiambu, where in one financial year, 2022-2023, according to the office, a report from the Office of the Auditor General, Kiambu had squandered 2.27 billion. So the aspect of then the governor, supervising the devolution was totally misplaced. I totally agree that I am not for the 14 counties. I want to go back to the 9 provinces. We only need 9 governors. We only need about 90 members of parliament, and the region represented by the member of parliament should be given now to the MCA. Right. Remember, the devolution is devolved further because we have a sub-county and we have ward admins. Okay. Then we have all the way, even up to village council. Why are we not making those village county council, operational?
So 47,
in the constitution.
47 are too many. You want 9.
Yes, at most we need 9. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's a no. Let's go to a yes. Let's balance them. Okay, you can give the gentleman there the mic.
Thank you very much. My name is Samuel Mirore Thiongo. I'm the chairperson of Gilgil Youth Forum. I have a slightly different opinion from my brother. I strongly believe that we need the 47 counties, and this is why I say so. I want to believe, and I strongly believe, that devolution was one of the biggest gifts of the 2010 Constitution. Why? Because the main reason for devolution was to bring government closer to the people and to bring services closer to the people. We have seen that happen. We've seen a lot of development going down to the common mananchi and to the grassroots level. But at the same time, we have to agree that we are not there yet. We have not achieved the full potential that was intended by the 2010 Constitution. Because we've seen some counties that are developing so well, like Murang'a County and Homa Bay County, and other counties that are doing so poorly, led by the great county of Nairobi. So the big question today should not be whether we need the 47 counties or not. It should be, how do we fix these 47 counties? how do we fix these 47 units? How do we strengthen oversight?
Okay.
How do we cut the ballooning wage bill in the county government? How do we leverage on technology? We need to promote things like e-procurement. We need to promote things like revenue collection that is cashless. Because let me tell you something, Eric.
We'll have to cut you short.
As I finish,
we'll have to cut you short.
Let me just tell you something.
Nikki Malizia.
Nikki Malizia. You see, when you introduce technology as a means of fighting corruption, you eliminate something called human intermediaries. And that is why you'll see governors going against the e-procurement, because they are the human middleman. They are the people who are enhancing corruption.
Point made.
Yes, thank you very much.
Retain the 47, enhance oversight around them. Let's go back to a no. A lady this time. No lady said no. There's a lady who said no. Okay, pick the mic.
I go by the name Tabitha Mushara, a youth leader in Kiambu and a member of Bunge Mashinani and Bunge Mashinani School of Governance. So my answer is a no. I don't support the 47 counties because my brother there has said that we have the constitution as the gift for the devolved function. But remember, the same constitution, our governors are not implementing whatever is in the constitution of Kenya. If at all we have the best constitution and our governors are implementing whatever is in the constitution, then we can be supporting the 47 counties. But no, I don't support the 47 county. Remember, if at all we minimize these 47 counties, we are going to minimize the level of corruption that we have in our country. According to the EACC reports, who are the most people who are taken there? We only have the governors there. Why are the governors being bent on the corruption cases? Why don't we have the MCAs? The MCAs found with the corruption cases. I think we don't need the 47 counties, and I support my brother Eric here. We only need the 9 regions.
Okay. There's a lady at the front here who had a green. Bring the mic to the front.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Caroline Wanjiku. I'm from Kiambu County. I'm the vice chair of Kiambu Youth Movement. And I think this is not a matter of whether we need 47 counties or not. It is about who is accountable for every decision that we make in this country. We don't, like in Kiambu, we have a very heated debate right now of who is supposed to be, of whether Kiambu is going to be a region or whether Kiambu is going to be part of Mount Kenya. It is so funny, like, is that really the real thing that we need in this country right now? No. Kiambu itself, it's, okay, let me say this. Devolution, it's about empowering the counties. It is not about devolution. So when we empower our county as Kiambu, we empower the entire region of Kiambu County, the Mount Kenya region. So I raised the green thing, but I shouldn't have raised anything.
You don't think this is a conversation that we even need to be having?
Yeah, I don't think this is the perfect debate at this moment.
Right.
I think the thing is who is going to be responsible for their jobs, who is going to be accountable for everything that they are accounted for. It is not about whether we need 47 counties or not.
Okay.
So,
and I hear you. Yeah. I see many cards. We'll be getting into more of our conversations, more of our thoughts and reflections on the same. But a big part of this conversation of whether reducing the number of counties or letting them be as they are is pegged on the cost of administration that follows, the devolved systems of the smaller governments. And the Auditor General's reports have consistently showed that almost all the counties really are running their budget mostly for recurrent costs, and that little is left for development purposes. And I just want to bring in Wangari Muikia, who is a fiscal economist expert, and just to tell us what you think about this, and would it lead to more efficient revenue generation if these counties were collapsed into smaller numbers?
Thank you, Sharon, and it was really interesting to hear everybody's response on this. I think even just to put it into context, we're starting with the answer without really thinking about the question, right? We say, should we have 47 counties? The question is, what level of what unit of governance is necessary to provide the goods and services for the people there on the ground? That is the core question that we're trying to answer right now. So if the provincial services didn't work before devolution, why didn't they work? Was it because of the size of the unit, or was it a different reason? And I think from there, we can then start to answer the question of how many units are needed, and how do we then also think about the implementation. Do we redraw the boundaries? What kind of grouping should there be? What is the analysis? What are the demographics? And I'm showing my economist background here that we really need to do the analysis before we come to the answer. But with regards to the cost of delivering services, it's a tricky one, because yes, you would reduce the cost of running government if you reduce the number of counties, but not exactly by, for example, if you cut them in half from 47 to 24, that it would be half the cost. No, because you still have to manage the same number of people. So if you have, let's say you took them down to 24 for the sake of argument, you still need revenue officers to go to the same places, the same markets, the same livestock holding areas, the same businesses to collect business permits. You still need a hefty staff. You may cut down, maybe not have 2 governors, maybe you won't have 2 county executive members, CCs of different sectors, but they would still need teams to manage a bigger area. So it wouldn't be an exact reduction of costs in the way that we imagine that it would be, right? So yes, the Auditor General did say that a lot of money goes into recurrent spending. The budget, and any budget in any country, is designed that way. We are mandated in our constitution to spend about 30%. But even if many counties are budgeting for about the 30%, in delivery, we see that counties are actually not even able to spend spend the 30% that they've budgeted. Right. One, from they've not received the financing, and also 2, they're unable to absorb the expenditure. So it's really a complicated issue. Right. It's not cut and dried.
And I think, just following up, I hear you on the requirement that would be of the staff going to the ground and still doing the service delivery, still needing to match the population, and in terms of unit delivery. But is there thought around then the reduction of the number of offices, the officials, the decision-making kind of strata? And perhaps we are even talking, we're in a Kenya where we are talking about budgeting for corruption, that in each office, at every level of power that is rolled down, there's money that is lost, that always through misappropriation and all of that. I mean, is it a reality of the kind of conversation we are having, that we will be reducing even the avenues for money being lost? And I just want to bring in Kevin Osido, who's the Executive Director, County Watch, to weigh in on this.
Thank you so much, Sharon, and our hosts, and indeed fellow Kenyans. Of course, it's a very good discussion to have in terms of what that really means insofar as development spending and also recurrent expenditure. But if you look at the manner in which we do our budget process, a lot of thought does not go into the kind of questions that you are raising. The citizens who are engaged at the level of the public participation processes are not given time to think through the tail end of the monies that are put into the budget. And that is partly why in many, many platforms, some of us have critically recommended what we call human resource auditing, so that we are able to underscore, for instance, the functions that the Constitution of Kenya has given to county governments in Schedule 4. What amount of staff do we need to deliver agriculture as a function, so that we fully devolve it and take everything that is still held by the national government and take it down to counties, and then we audit. If it is 47 counties, what amount of staffing do we need to be able to clearly deliver those services? If it is water services, what amount of staffing do we need? Because part of the conversations and indeed the concern that we have is what is a normal narrative called ghost workers. Because you have a group of people who are ever gallivanting along the corridors of power without necessarily even knowing what titles that they hold. And if you walk into the county government offices, what is otherwise called the Public Service Delivery Center by the County Governments Act, they are the ones who get keep. So they ask you, lakini uko na appointment, unajua jina la huyo waziri ama chief mwenye umekuja kumuona. They are always discouraging citizens to be able to ask the relevant questions. And yet they hold zero or totally no portfolio in those county governments. So, of course, we've seen some governors, for example, Mheshimiwa Simba Arati, whom when he took over the reins of Kisii County government, he paraded people and he said, kama wewe ni driver, simama mbele ya gari ambayo unaendesha. So that we are able to really understand what are all these people doing in the counties. Now, there is a challenge to that, Sharon, and part of that challenge is a political culture that we have. That the more number of people you have following you to be able to put you into that seat that you call the governor, or the senator, or whoever you are who has the authority to hire and fire, the more the number of people that will depend on you to be able to be given offices. Now, at the level of the accountability, for instance, I saw my good friend Mheshimiwa CS Treasury speaking. He needs to help Kenyans to understand that as you are proposing 14 counties, which I disagree with, but what is your rationale? What is it that you are looking forward to? Because therefore, we will be hampering effective service delivery at the backbone or backdrop of recurrent expenditures for resources or financial resources that we do not know where they are going to. And that is why the Auditor General will continue to raise concerns, and the Controller of Budget will continue to raise very pertinent and relevant questions. But because you know very well that without this bandwagon of people following you, you will not be re-elected the governor. So you continue keeping them there with the nasty contracts that you keep changing from 6 months to 3 months, because you're also playing, catch and save with the labor laws of the Republic of Kenya. And so it's a difficult cast that we really have to die. But how to do it is to go back to the people and ensure that we hold our leadership accountable, and that leaders also understand what exactly is expected of them. But of course, we have to ask ourselves, why did Kenyans really ask for this thing we are calling devolution? So, yes.
We should pick it up from there, just understanding what question or what problem was devolution answering, because it will then help us understand, are we going there or are we losing track of where we intended to go? But we need to take a short break, and we'll come back with that question and more regarding, does Kenya need the 47 counties? Stay with The Last Word.
This is The Last Word. Tonight, we're asking ourselves the question, does Kenya need the 47 counties? Many votes coming in as well on our social media platforms. Like on YouTube, we have 71% of you already saying no, okay, and 29% saying yes. It's a similar kind of trend in the polls, even on Facebook and on X, and that's what we are seeing. We have very many, things to look at here. When you talk about the size of the units of devolution, there's several factors to consider, like you said earlier, and Wangari also talked about it. Is it about the cost, but also is it what is needed to actually bring the service closer to the people, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Again, when we passed this constitution, it was 2010, I was 9 years old. Privileged to come from a family where everybody in the house was angry. So I had an idea, okay, this constitution is good, but so many questions from my father and my mom saying, at least us in Tharaka Nithi, we will be represented, And I thought it came from a point of scarcity, whereby actually people in the ASALs were saying, you know, we're not part of Kenya because we have no access. But now that I'm an adult, I understand why everyone was angry at that house that day. Because I think, for me, Kenya's devolution is looking a bit like a high-budget decentralization. It's not looking as if it's achieving what it needed to. The EACC and the Auditor General were raising issues around that. Counties lose 30 to 40% of their entire budget to graft. And that is ridiculous, at least for me. Again, I'm too young. I'm growing into the Constitution. I'm looking at the fact that that constitutes to roughly 100 to 120 billion annually that our counties are moving, which is literally what we spend on universal healthcare, the Shisha, Shauri Yako, and anything else. So when I centralize the idea, sorry guys. When I centralize into what devolution would mean as an adult Kenyan right now, I'm looking at the fact that this devolution consumes 30 to 35% of the national budget, which also causes 100% of Kenyans' anger. Courtesy of the fact that some counties, first of all, some of them are so small to have economies of scale. Others are making way too much that is also not seen in the people. We don't have provisions of what accountability looks like to these particular devolved institutions. We don't have oversight to the very many officers representing these institutions. We don't have access where Kenyans can deliberately say they have received service. We have the heads of these counties being the front line of the fraudsters and the vipers, like you said in the part of the Bible, in corruption cases. So for me, I'm looking at, so in whose hands can devolution correctly sit at? And then the accountability and the financing, owing to the fact that we're hearing from the state officials saying we need to reduce. Reduce to what? Reduce for what? Then what does representation look like? Because I think, guys in the older age realm, you complained about, what were they called? The provincial...
PCs, the provincial
PCs.
administration.
Like we have so many titles for so many corrupt offices, it's insane. I think for me, devolution would still make sense because I do believe people need representation. But it's 47 counties, 47 healthcare systems, 47 procurement systems, 47 of corruption timelines.
Right.
What does it mean to have Kenyans have a devolved government that makes sense for them?
I'd like to throw in just a spanner here, just because we are talking about 47 and we see 47 different units, and then we forget about this one big one called the national government. The one national government is not one entity.
Yeah.
If you think about the ministries, departments, and agencies of national government, you have so many of those procurement entities, so many of those executive officers, so many offices to oversight, and so many questions that are raised by the Auditor General and the Controller of Budget as well. So even as we're talking about all this, let's look at it holistically and just say, it's not that the 47 are even more corrupt than the others. Okay, how much money goes into the counties? How much money stays at the national level? How much money is lost at the national level? How much money is lost at the county? If you compare how many services are directly linked to the people, how MDA is answerable to the people. I'm just throwing that on, just injecting.
Right. We got some of the glimmers, some of the wins that we've said have been accomplished since the onset of devolution. And particularly looking at the health sector, that before the onset of devolution in 2013, we had a total of 3,127 dispensaries. And this number rose to 4,546 in 2018. And then much higher to 10,677 dispensaries across the country in 2022. And also looking at the level 5, this is the county referral hospitals, there were 17 in 2013, and this has grown now to 23 facilities. And also looking at, you were talking about early childhood education earlier on, and that the country marked a 14.5 increase in ECDE centers and facilities from 24,000 and some change on top to 28,383 in 2019. So some data showing perhaps the impact on service delivery. development, even, and I wanted to hear how we can measure this. Does this reflect then, what would otherwise have not been achieved in the absence of devolution? And I want to bring in Prof to just tell us, there are some things that perhaps are being felt. Kenyans are feeling the government's closer to them, perhaps we have this, the data showing some of the facilities that have improved. Is this a win? Is this a positive indication that we are achieving what was meant to with the county governments? Or would this otherwise have happened in the natural path of planning for development, even in an otherwise set up system? What do you think?
Thank you so much. Measuring success or failure, or what the media in the past, when Kenyans have in the past 2 weeks been calling gains, losses and gains, hits and misses, etc., it need to be measured against what the values, the objects, and the principles of devolution were in as at 2010 when we adopted the constitution. But I think we should even realize that while we were adopting this constitution in 2010, some of these issues had been settled. At least the issues of values, objects, and principles had been settled in Bomas. What then became a difficult issue for measuring gains and losses was issues of design, issues of how to design and structure what was intended to be achieved through devolution. And then you get to the question of the numbers of units, or in terms of whatever language you want to call it, from 1963 to 2025. Do you want to call some of them regions, majimbo? Do you want to call them provinces, counties, etc.? My view is that maybe even some of the values, maybe some of the objects and principles of what we wanted to achieve, maybe some of them have changed. And that's why I think we need to also engage the people much more on that. For example, the emphasis in 2010 was that democracy, accountability were key. Articles 174, 175. Issues of unity and diversity are key. Issues of self-rule or local rule or participation were key, and also was equitable sharing of resources. I'm just talking about 3 to 4, but there are, I think that like objects are about 9, then principles are about 4 or something. But those were key as at 2010. The question we must ask ourselves, are those still the only ones and the key ones? Then you go to questions of 3 parameters that we need to talk about as we think about, for me it's not whether we want 47 to be reduced or increased. The question is why? What is the rationale of, we must go back to values and principles, and then we share the rationale of the numbers. Definitely 47 are unsustainable, and the evidence on the ground, let's use the key parameters. Is governance being delivered into issues of actual big participation in the grassroots? Most of them is ticking the box in the counties and in national government affairs or in the regulations. Is administrative efficiency being realized? And I think you give some parameters on health. I think this is the number of like dispensary, but in terms of actual service delivery through health centers and health units, are we getting? I think most people are saying that there are serious challenges. Education, I think there were many comments on education. Are we getting in terms of administrative efficiency? And then cost effectiveness, because I think while some people talk about only cost effectiveness, I don't think that's the main parameter. Government is not always just about shillings and cents. Government is about 3 key parameters: governance effectiveness, participation, etc., administrative efficiency, and access to fair administrative processes, and of course, cost is important, but can't be the only one. So on the basis of that, we have a long way to go with devolution. Devolution as please.
Prof, I have a question.
Yes.
And I know you have been here in this constitution long enough to answer me. The aspect of public participation, I want to counter with your research a bit. I think the only reason why we also had young people come outside last year to fight was courtesy of the fact that public participation is the one thing devolution has literally messed up. And apart from the actual concepts that are important to Kenyans, or rather that we have a generation that is awoken to fighting back and asking questions, the government does not care much about having the public sit down to listen and be answerable to issues. I want to just know from your perspective, which counties are these you're speaking of that public participation has been done? And then how effectively can we see it being linked to what their county governments have done?
I think maybe I spoke in a different dialect, my village dialect. What I was saying was that public participation is an aspect of governance.
Yes.
And I was saying that it is not working.
Yeah.
I think I said that in most counties,
Sorry, I had to make sure.
it is ticking the box.
I had to make sure you
really
say it again.
Oh, okay. I hope
it's a box-ticking exercise,
it's
Prof.
ticking the box is not really public participation.
But that is not...
The judges have said it must be real, actual, not just going through the motions. In most of the PP public participation, we go through the motions. We are here, we sign a document, there was public participation.
I guess that, like you said, it's about effectiveness of governance.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter the size of the unit. Whether we had devolution of 2 units or 47 units, if those in positions of authority are only approaching citizen participation as an exercise just to tick a box, it will still be the same.
I would disagree slightly by saying that, okay, the units let's agree. Let me agree first, then try to then try to disagree. Let me agree first, because I think even in my list, the size or the numbers was not the first parameter.
Yeah.
Even if you look at Articles 174, 175, you look at those are objects and principles of devolution.
Yeah.
Then if you go to also 189 on how we can restructure our governance units, or if you go to 89 on how you do constituency delimitation, you will see that the parameters, so for me the 3 key parameters are these. 1, population. Government is about people first. The people.
Article 1.
Yes. Article 1. The people shall.
Yes. Very important.
Very important. Then secondly, government is also about physical facilities and infrastructure. I think you are mentioning about health facilities. Those, and government is also geographical expanse.
Yeah.
So the size, the numbers are not the first parameter. So I would agree with Mr. Edric Latif that the numbers, even if they were 47 or what Bomas was doing, 14 regions, on the face of it might not matter.
Yeah.
However, it would matter because I think let's just compare some of these metrics, number or data. Kenya has 47 county governments vis-a-vis, in terms of cooperation, in terms of competition, there's also competition vis-a-vis one national government.
Yeah.
Nigeria has one national government, federal government vis-a-vis 36 units. And then USA has one vis-a-vis 50 plus DC.
Ethiopia too.
Ethiopia too. Canada 9, 10. Australia about 6. South Africa 9 provinces. And if you look at, I think some of the data was also given earlier, that if you look at the economy of some of these countries, or some of these units, can Turkana easily argue with national government? Turkana is one of the 47. That okay?
Yeah.
Can it argue? Lagos can argue, and sometimes argues with the federal government.
Yeah.
You know that. So the number of units also would matter.
And
New York and you mentioned California. California can argue, even on California was able to argue with President Trump
on
climate issues. But can Ohio argue? so the issue is the units matter. The number of units also matter. And 47, we are extravagant. To be honest, we are just extravagant.
High budgets.
Yeah, that's a good point.
47 gods.
Yeah.
Watu ni wengi. As you come to the people, Sharon, can I just quickly go through the objects of devolution? Because Prof, you've actually just brought it up. Because this is like the thinking structure of why we are devolving governments. The objects of devolution are: 1, promote democratic and accountable exercise of power. 2, foster national unity by recognizing diversity. Now think about the counties that we have, okay, as I read them. Give powers of self-governance to the people and enhance participation of the people in the exercise of the powers. The other one, recognize the right of communities to manage their own affairs and to further their development. The other one, to protect and promote the interests and rights of minorities and marginalized communities. To promote socio and economic development and the provision of proximate, easily accessible services throughout the country. Ensure equitable sharing of national and local resources. Facilitate the decentralization of state organs, their functions and services from the capital of Kenya, and to enhance checks and balances and the separation of powers. Now, if you think about all those things and the units that we have, are they actually serving the objects of devolution? Or are they not?
I think Kevin had a statement on that.
Kevin has the Katiba as well.
And Prof, seemingly, you look like you are reading part of my notes, right? Because, but I think it is because Lena took us to the Bible, so it could be the Spirit of God manifesting across borders. But I just want to probably disagree with this comparison, especially around sovereignty of the Republic of Kenya and other states and governments. And if you look at why the difficulty in that against Article 174 on the objects of devolution and Article 175 on the principles, there are certain things that were expected that Kenya and Kenyans would do to make devolution work, which we are not doing. And one of those things, for example, is on-source revenue. So that why Prof probably is imagining that the state of California would have a higher bargaining power even over the central government, quote unquote, of the United States government is what is the competitive advantage that you have? So you're talking about population, but this is a population that also requires certain services to be delivered. If you come to Kenya, and why I think he's even trying to close one of his eyes in the imagination that how would Lamu, as a county, even want to, sit in comparison with, say, one national government called Kenya. And that takes us to what we call, and I think it's Zinzi who brought in the aspect of economics of scale. What is this one thing that if the county of Lamu did, then they would be much more economically viable as opposed to this over-dependence and over-reliance in the national government. So if we can be able to score in or score out that, then we disqualify Lamu. And I think it's one of those counties that in fact have been earmarked, had we have done things right as a country, to be able to more or less dissolve if we were to demarcate our boundaries again by March, is it this year or last year? This year, March 2025. Actually last year, March 2024. You go to Tana River, and it's because one of my colleagues, I think it's Eric from Kiambu, who mentioned Tana River. And we ask ourselves, what is this one good thing that Tana River is good at? And it really bothers me as a governance practitioner and expert when I hear irrigation schemes like Bulana Kulalu, like Hola irrigation scheme that is right at the heart of Hola, I mean Tana River. And you talk about Bura irrigation scheme and the rice that is, grown there. So what is this thing that Tana River must do and must be supported to do as one of these other counties to be able to be economically viable, because that way we will of course do so many things, including driving people into the county, because we now have work and employment opportunities. And so you look at facilities like Konza City, within, is it Makueni or in Machakos? And what is the value of Konza City insofar as economic viability and economics of scale is concerned, insofar as growth of that particular county is concerned? And so, Eric, we've done an analysis, and other partners and colleagues have also done the same. And one thing that we continue to ask ourselves is, since 2013, Nairobi County, for example, has received more than 160 billion plus equitable share. We need to ask ourselves, you've received 160 billion plus, but how much have you received, have you raised through on-source revenue? You go to the 6 coastal counties.
And how much is it?
Pardon?
How much is it for Nairobi?
No, let me make my point first. You mean the equitable share? Equitable share is 160 plus billion.
160 plus billion equitable share?
Yes.
Own source revenue?
Now that is dwindling, and it's dwindling, and I don't want to take time on this because I know you will cut me short, but why it's dwindling is because there are different variations. For example, when you had Governor Kidero, they had an EGG Pay, a digital system for submission of remittances. So across the parking areas, across the different licenses, and the kind of fees that you had to pay even to open up a kiosk, it was being done digitally. Then Governor Sonko came, and of course he inherited part of what Governor Kidero used to do digitally, and then I think they reintroduced another digital system, which did not work very well.
Kevin, and it's less than the 160 billion, right? It is less.
But that's what I'm saying. That
so
what
it's
must
about
we
100
do?
billion shillings.
Yeah,
higher.
I agree. I agree with you, and that's why I'm saying that we must ask the question. So, if you're receiving 160 billion, what are you doing to be able to raise more internally as a county? If you go to the coastal region, 6 counties that form the Jumuiya ya Counties of Pwani, and because this is a last word, it's called Data, Insight, and Truth, they have received since 2013 not more than 360 billion. 6. So if you were to divide that by 6, Sharon, you have 6 billion per county. At least 60 billion per county.
Yep.
Which is not even up to what all those 6 counties in totality are raising on source revenue. And we can go over and over across all the different regions that we have, across the 14 different economic blocks that counties have decided to organize themselves over. So what I'm asking and recommending in short is, can we move this conversation to begin to ask ourselves, what must county governments do to be able to raise revenue over this over-reliance on equitable share national government, which is really the headache that I think the CS for Treasury, Mheshimiwa Mbadi, the expert, has. Because he's wondering, I have this. Yes, of course he's an expert, donated expert. And it's a headache that he has.
I have a question, and I hear you. Just a quick one, because I know our time is over. And it's also very interesting that you have used the 2 governors that have the worst corruption cases still pending in court. But apart from that, just to divert to the economics of scale, now that we have mentioned Lamu, Turkana, mind you, if we're looking at the economies of scale, they might be technical, financial, depending on whatever it is. Turkana had oil. Lamu has tourism. Isiolo has a whole airport. But all these things don't translate to what devolution matters to. And then when we say don't depend on the national government, it's still Kenyans' taxes. So what are we supposed to depend on? Also, for the people opportunity you're raising, that Kenyans have their own bent when it comes to what is your work in making sure devolution actually works. It is impossible to do that when you can't even open that shop because the taxes are extreme, when you can't even access government services that you're literally paying for. So I feel like I want to understand what you're saying, because what we're talking about is a devolution that is there constitutionally but doesn't translate to what the people require. So who do we blame?
And there's no one to blame.
Why?
It's because each and every one of us has a responsibility. Now, let me break it down in this manner. The citizen, this constitution has given you rights, and it has also given you certain responsibilities. For example, that you expect the right to health. But what are you doing to be able to guarantee or to protect and safeguard that. Part of what you are doing, Zinzi, is paying taxes.
SHA.
Now, SHA is not working or is working, so it's Shisha. But are we holding government to account effectively? Yes, we are. Now, fast track it to certain other things. For example, employment creation. And you ask yourself, what value would it add for the people of Kisii who have plenty of soapstone? In fact, if you travel along that corridor, you see women, young people, even certain groups of persons with disability selling very nicely carved, artifacts along the road. What amount of value would it add to organize them into small and micro enterprises and then undertake a value chain mechanism where even the county government can decide to identify a market in Dubai, or a market in some part of this world and say, given the number of artifacts you can give, we'll be able to give you markets. Those things are not happening. And that is why we are over-relying on the national government.
But it's their fault.
It is whose
because
fault?
Who's connecting us to the Dubai market?
That's what we are saying, that the government is not investing in opportunities that are available.
Yeah.
That is why Kenyans are getting out of their own spaces. Young people are using TikTok to look for money. But if government had proper policies and laws that safeguard, and that we say, as a president or as a governor of X county, if you have 2,000 followers on TikTok, you are already a star. I want to help build you. I want to connect you to effective places where you can be able to make money. And that is not happening.
Right, Kevin, thank you. I'm hearing something that's happening here with our experts. None of them has agreed to get into our box of answering the question whether 47, yes or no. None of them is raising the red or green. So maybe let's move it beyond that and ask, is that the question to ask? Or is it the question of seeking to understand how better to strengthen devolution?
Right.
What else can we do? If we don't ask ourselves whether 47 is the number or not, what is the other question?
And the metrics then to measure the achievement of what we set out to achieve with devolution. I see placards. I don't know what question.
Is it red or no? Or are you just seeking attention?
At the very back. Yes. Please go ahead.
You have the mic?
Thank you. My name is Kangara Ndongo. I am from Kiambu County. So Latif, allow me to read this for you, since you've read for us Article 174. So, Kenya transitioned from a centralized system of provinces to a devolved system of 47 counties under the 2010 Constitution to address 1, inequality, 2, ethnic division, and 3, resource mismanagement. Devolution, a core principle of the new Constitution, transferred significant political and financial power to these smaller local county units. Now, the main objective of devolution is bringing services closer to the people. Are the counties delivering on this? I believe yes. And this one is backed up by a survey that was done by ACT, which stands for Act, Change, Transform, through their Kenya devolution program. It says that 60% of the people actually term the county governance as good. 60% is a clean B minus, is a good score. Till get you into university. However, allow me to say this. I believe Kenya is not a B student country. We can do more, and there are those gaps that have been addressed here, including that of public participation, civic education. We need to do more on that. We need to educate our citizens on the roles that came with devolution.
So do more within the structure.
Yes, do more within the structure, yes. I believe devolution can work wonders. Thank you.
Wangari will take your response after 2 or 3 statements. There's a very loud no at the front, but since you're up, please continue.
My name is Peter Bada, and mine is yes, not a no. I think we need these 47 counties, but the major thing we need to implement in these 47 counties is meritocracy. Meritocracy is a concept whereby you put the right people for the right jobs. whereby now, let's say, for example, health ministry. Health is a very critical component or issue to the people of this wonderful nation, or to the common mwananchi, or to the nation as a whole. So we see that this docket, for us to move as a nation, we really need to identify. For example, let me give an example at the national level. We have Edin Duale there. You see, for example, somebody like Duale. Duale is a person who has really failed. First, as a member of parliament. Secondly, as a senator.
It's a history of failure.
And he is the first person to unleash military to its own citizen. Then you give him a docket like health. That is a very critical docket for the people of this nation. Thereby, you leave somebody like a moth under him. A moth is this person that really helped us during COVID-19. It is somebody that is recognized globally. You put somebody like a moth under him.
What's the point?
My point is, for us to move as a nation, and I support what my brother said here, we need 47 counties, but we need to select the right people for the right jobs so that these services may be delivered to the common mwananchi.
Okay. The primary selector of people is the citizen at the ballot.
Okay.
Let's remember that.
Yeah.
Right? The citizen at the ballot is the primary selector of the people. So if it's about meritocracy, then it starts with you, with your vote.
Yeah.
Next, let's hear a lady. A lady.
After me,
no, a lady.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Devolution has equity and inclusivity.
Involving
A lady,
the voices.
please.
Thank you, Ma. You will take next. So,
I think
my name is Braxton Lubasi.
Hey, umehold hiyo kitu. Umekataa nayo.
Sorry?
Okay.
You have refused to devolve.
It's a wonderful point I'm bringing up. So, for me, I will not support the 47 counties as for now, but let us look at the potential of counties. For instance, Nairobi. Why don't we put Nairobi as a special metropolitan unit? You saw how General Mbadi ran this county. Compare him with Kidero, compare him with Sonko and Madimples. He ran this country very well. Look at the... Madimples is Sakaja. Look at the Kenya Meat Commission. It ran very wonderfully under his leadership. So, as we bring Nairobi as a special metropolitan, now we can put the others as provinces. Look at what this guy says, comparing Kenya to South Africa, like the 9 provinces. He didn't say regions because he said names matter. So when you bring about regions, people will start saying the Murima region, will start saying the coastal region. So why don't we give them a good name, like provinces maybe, because no one will own them. And then we'll give these provinces municipalities, where the local leaders will run all the other things, like health services, whatever. Just like South Africa, you will see the municipal leaders building houses, of which our president is the one doing the health services. The municipal leaders are the ones doing it. So my point is that we need to put this nation divided into provinces, and Nairobi remaining as a special...
How many provinces?
Metropolitan.
How many provinces?
Depending on how researchers
how
and
many
Kenyans
How many do you want?
Personally?
Yes.
As a researcher?
Yes.
I'm continuing to research. I will tell you the next few.
The next time. The lady.
The lady, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Helen Kerago. I come from Kiambu County in a constituency called Ruiru, in a ward called Kawendani. I support devolution. This brought power to the people. But do people understand this power that they have? Are people educated enough to be able to participate in what they're supposed to be participating? I am a champion of public participation. And the saddest part that happens in Kiambu County is when we are doing devolution, number one, Even people who work for the county government do not understand the budget cycle. And that is why they come from the office with already something that they have printed to present to the people for people to pass it. So basically, they are not listening to what we are saying. They are not listening to our views. The next thing they knew is how to tick the boxes. So they knew, I am going to ferry people from each and every ward and bring them to the sub-county and pay them 500 shillings. So this person who is coming for the 500, will they participate effectively? No, they will not. Because number one, they do not understand, already they are giving away their power with receiving this 500. They will not come and talk about the bad roads, the bad drainages, the lack of health centers. And this is the other thing. Governors, they know, like they're supposed to do health centers. Our governor has built enough health centers in Kiambu. But are they working? Who is supposed to be oversighting him? The MCAs. Are they doing it? Now they follow him around to get 5,000 in the pocket, 10,000, you know, and it is not working. Even those bursaries that you're mentioning, how much is given per person? 5,000. Yet we crowd there because we do not understand the power that was given to us by this constitution. So I feel the devolution is a good thing, but then we need to start somewhere. The citizens need to understand the kind of power that they hold and what they need to do to hold this government. In fact, they should understand it is us. Sisi ndio tunagawa power to these people. So
Madam Champion, can I ask you a question? What would it take for the citizens to get that understanding?
Number one, let it start at school. I did the 844 system, and we used to have GHC. Na kulikuwa na civic education. Like we used to understand like how the government works, who is who, and what their kind of jobs that they do. I feel we should also start there from schools, so that you're able to understand how is your government working. What is county government? What is national government? Which government is supposed to do what? Yeah, thank you so much.
Give the mic to the gentleman at the front. He has been raising the mic for a while. Just pass on the mic to him and let's hear from him. And
Public participation.
And then itarudi. Don't grab power. Don't grab power.
Thank you, Ratif. Thank you, Ratif. My very beautiful name is Melvin Mawira from Meru County. Today, I have listened to Prof and Kelvin, and Prof has said that Prof have definitely said that when we want to negotiate in this government, we only talk about infrastructure and population. But in the whole conversation since we started, I've not heard any one of us talking about resources and how we should share these resources to the counties, how we should give our citizens the right things, definitely.
But hiyo jamaa nyuma, alafu we'll come back. We'll come back.
You're sharing power. That's good.
We'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bring the mic closer to your mouth, please. Closer.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
First, I want to appreciate Almighty God for this opportunity has given us. I'm Samson Marigo Turuka. I come from Migori County, Kuria West, sub-county. I will go direct to my point where I will support the devolution, whereby Nashanga kidogo, how is CS Mbati going to reduce the number of the counties we have, and we are suffering as we are having the 47 counties as by now, and what of if they are going to reduce to maybe 19 or the 9 they are saying, how are we going to serve as the citizens of Kenya or as the voters of Kenya? With me, I support the devolution. The county should be increased more than 47 counties, whereby reason number one, to improve the service delivery to the local people. 2, to empower the local communities. 3, we should also economic development and the resources to mobilization, whereby we have got several, maybe like the county I come from, Migori, tuko na shida kidogo kwa sababu if you see there unapata wananchi wanaenda kulima barabara and they are just giving out the taxes they are just giving the government they are giving out the taxes or revenues. Unapata shule ni ya government lakini imepomoka. Like
how many counties do you want?
More than 47.
How many?
Should be more than 47. Should be increased.
How many would solve that issue?
Yes.
How many counties, if increased, would solve your issue?
So maybe we can 50? Add it to be 53. Oh. So we need more than because...
I hear what he's saying. As long as Kuria get their county.
Kuria needs a county.
Because the reason I'm saying so is that we can reach the local people very well, whereby wale watu wanatoa ushuru hata wao wafanywa maendeleo. Because it is so hurting when the people wanalima barabara na wanakata ushuru. Hiyo pesa inaenda wapi? Wacha ukitaka farasi atembee pole pole, ongezea yeye mshiko. Asanteni sana.
Who has the mic on this side?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Let's hear you, and then we shall come to the lady at the front.
Okay. My name is Stephen Aila. I'm from Wetavia, that is in Juja, Kiambu County.
How many Kiambu people are here?
Amen.
Okay, go on.
Okay. I'm trying to solve the issue that we have here, and the only way that we can solve our issue, it is through this book here. All answers to our problems are here. I believe that all answers to our problems are here. The biggest issue that we have as a country is lack of serious leadership. By that, I mean this. We have bodies that were formed to fight things like corruption. For instance, are we empowering those bodies to have enough resources to fight corruption? Because even if we will say let's reduce these counties to even 2, my question is, how sure are we that we will be able to fight corruption and we will start seeing things happening in our locality? So I'm trying to say that we need 47 counties, strengthen bodies that have been formed to ensure that every county is working and each and every resource is reaching to the common mwananchi pale mashinani.
Point made.
Yes, thank you.
Well. Asante sana. The lady at the front here. Please pass the mic to the lady at the front. And Wangari, you wanted to hear more people, so then we can hear now you bringing in your public finance expertise here. You wanted to hear more people, you're hearing more people.
Hi.
Hopefully this time, Wangari, when you come, you'll tell us for the 47 years or no. Okay.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah.
My name is Georgina Anjiko from Gatondo South, a woman leader in Kiambu County and a member of KSN and Bunge Mashinani. I support devolution so much, and I would like to kind of support my brother from Migori. If there's division to be done, Kiambu County tuko wengi sana. I think it should be split by 2. Anyway, I support devolution, and the only solution, as Helen had said, it's about civic education. And my proposal would be, governor positions should not be political. It should be appointed. Yes.
Should be what?
It should not be political. It should be under merit. That is appointment.
By who?
For the 47 counties.
The government, by the government. So that if it's because it's political, it's very hard to have social accountability. But if it's appointment, the person will be screwed. And yeah, and he'll take up his woes and whatever.
Don't you think appointment is political?
It is political, but it's beneficial. It is political somehow, but it would benefit us citizens. I'm saying this because of out of experience. We as Bunge Mashinani, and my speaker is here, allow me to speak about it, we have tried. But due to politics, we have failed. But if it's appointment, I think even, and also I think if we continue like this, Senate should also be scrapped. We should do away with Senate because they are not doing any good, any
oversight.
They are not doing any oversight to us, and we are not seeing any fruits from Senate.
I have one question.
Yes.
I hear you. You say, let's make it an appointive position.
Yeah.
The governor one.
Yeah.
Who is this who's appointing?
The government.
Who's the government?
The executive.
Which one?
The president.
The president.
The national government?
The national, yes.
Also, the national government.
The way they appoint the CS, the way they appoint the CSs, they should appoint even the governors for the 47 counties.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the president nominates, parliament vets.
Thank you.
And then we have a governor.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good point. Two more. I think one last contribution. The director is telling us one last contribution.
Tutasimama.
Watu ni wengi. Haraka haraka. One point. Let's
okay.
start the
Thank you so much. I am Logoa Lokwe from Trans Nzoia County. For me, I have a question. In Kenya, we saw that counties were allocated over 350,000. But all 47 counties combined, we can only raise around 58 million. 58 billion. So if we give counties over 350 billion and they raise 58 billion, where are these other 300 billion going to? That is to mean we the citizen who are paying tax, we feel it to the core. Another thing is that devolution, yes, it has its own merits and demerits. But for me, I think we need to check the number of counties that we have, at least to bring it down. One, we see that we have over 1,500 MCAs, we have over 300 MPs, we have 47 senators, governors, deputy governors, and all they are getting paid. They are getting ballooning wages. I wonder, why should an MP get over 700,000? Why should an MCA get over 154,000? Yet, what they only want to do is to, wapewe the 5,000 or the few shillings they are getting to impeach a governor.
Asante. So reduce the counties.
The counties, I would want them to be reduced to around 14. Thank
All
you.
right. Hi. Jamal from Meru is now ready to speak. He'll come. Let's give the guy in a suit.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm Marshall Mike from Homa Bay County, constituency Kabondo Kasipul and ward Ramba ward. So basically, to me, I have a different view. That devolution basically was not supposed to be a long-term agenda, or rather, it should have been like a contract. Why am I saying this? It's because devolution, if it would have been made a short-term agenda, this means you will be having something that is running possibly 10 years, and after that 10 years, we see what have we done as a country and what progress has been made. Ukiangalia vizuri, we had an implementation which was done in 2013. Since 2013 up to now, what have we achieved as a country? Because we are still talking about development, I don't know in what region, in whatever region, and you realize we have regions where there are funds that were disbursed to do certain things, but because devolution has made us believe that something was done, somebody comes and chimba tu barabara and they want us to believe that they have done something, it's because we don't have an audit to a given duration that should have been done, so that we have an audit, like we have an audit, let's say like 10 years, a 10-year move, we do an audit, then we decide whether we
So
want
is this a good time? Because it's been 12 years. So is it a
Yes.
good time to do an audit?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Raila-
Actually,
Raila is proposing, let's do an audit.
Yes, to me.
Sawa, tosha. Point made.
Please, just a minute, please.
Because of time. Umetoa point. Tumekubaliana. Okay. Toa point tukisonga.
Thank you.
Devolve the agenda. We shall come back.
Thank you. My name is Eugene Okello. I come from Navaholo constituency in Kakamega County. Currently a student in Kenyatta University. So to answer the question simply, we need 47 counties. You know, our counties are just a perfect examples of living beyond your means. Because now tell me, to devolve or rather to build a dispensary, we have the CECM in the county, we have the chief officer, we have the directors, assistant directors, deputy assistant directors. We have so many county officials, and we have seen this when the county public service commissions advertised these roles. We have like around 5 technocrats, all the way from the chief officers, directors, deputy directors, all these people working the same role, right? 70% of the county budgets are going to recurrent expenditure. That is in terms of salaries, allowances, paying per diem. So a simple answer to this is that we need these 47 counties because our marginalized communities have been able to get roads, hospitals, and even ECDs. Okay. What needs to be done is that we need to cut on the number of staff at the county level, right? Because even if the counties are reduced to 14, we reduce the counties to 14, but again, the chief officers may be increased the number. So we maintain the 47 counties, but now we cut off on the staff. Thank you.
One lady to Maliza. Director amesema last comment hapa.
Each and every person is saying we should talk about the civic education. But how? If at all we get the 1% allocation of the county budget to civic education, we will be able to reach out to the public and the citizens like the way Bunge Mashinani is pushing in Kiambu County. Secondly, I am opposing Georgina's point whereby she has said that we should nominate the governor. If at all a local mwananchi, a local Wanjiko kupata tenda ni shida na kuappointiwa governor, ni nani wataappointiwa? If at all the executive is the one who is taking the responsibility and the initiative of appointing the governor, do you think any person can get that seat? Definitely no. They will choose because the corruption, we are in Kenya, we are lying in corruption. So if at all it is all about appointment, we cannot get that as a local mwananchi. Okay. No matter how much I try to fit in the spaces, I will not be given that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wangari, let him actually speak because you had the mic earlier and point ikapotea. No, you have to use the mic, eh? Get the mic to come to you.
I'm just clearing in a point here, then I give you. I think I'm Bon Stanley, Otieno from Kisumu County. I reside around Kiambu. I have something just to say about devolution. As for me, I think devolution is working in principles, but underperforming in practice. Literally, we can see that because in the constitution, literally, we can see if it is devolving the rights, kila mtu anaenjoy hiyo. But when it comes to the working now kwa ground, vitu ni different. The papers are literally in check, but in terms of working, the governors are doing 0. If you can rate them, they are literally doing 5 out of 10.
So should we retain or reduce?
My take is we should reduce. And again, devolution has brought us to a problem of overrepresentation.
Thank you. Pass the mic, please.
Thank you.
We need to. Now make point here,
Yes, just 1 minute. Thank you, Latif. Definitely, I am a mono, so I was just supposed to be confused, just like I have been. To just answer the direct question, we should not have 47 counties. Every time we are complaining about the leadership in our devolved function, the MCAs are not working well, the governor is not working well, and even our members of parliament are not working well. So if we are every time complaining about these readers, why should we have them? So we should just remove them and make have smaller units of governance, so that we will have so many people in farms, so many people in businesses. Tuachane na hao wengi wakuwa hapa kuzunguka tu, kazi yao ni kuangalia tu siasa na pesa ya mwananchi.
Asante. Thank you. Very well, point made. Sharon, we'll come back now to our experts, starting with Wangari. Just pass the mic to Wangari Moikia, please. Front. Wangari, you've had.
You know, let me tell you, there have been so many points and views here, it's amazing. So let me just say one thing that I disagree with that was said earlier, is that public participation is not working. My goodness. Do you realize that before devolution, nobody understood how government worked? Young people did not understand where the money went, who it was being given to, who is in charge. But now we're talking about people knowing what the equitable share is, how much has been collected in own source revenues, who their MCA is, or which ward they come from. This is public participation at its best. Yes, there are challenges. We've gone from 0 to 60. 60% is not a small thing. So all of us here talking and engaging and holding our government to account is a stellar example of public participation, and I applaud everybody here, and I'm really excited as an economist that this is happening. That being said, the number of counties. Now, it seems, and the way the 47 was arrived at was it was picked from the 47 districts that was allocated, I forget which year, but the original 47 districts that were
by 1992.
Legally established. And then they came to 210, but then now there were questions around that. But we went back to 47 because that was just the easiest politically expedient thing to do. I would love to see in our participation a more rigorous thinking. And I'm thinking along the lines of what does it take to provide, what does it cost to provide a basic unit of healthcare, a basic unit of education, a basic unit of agriculture, and create a structure or a unit that makes sense for the delivery of that service. If you amalgamate, for example, large counties, then it will cost more for an amalgamated, maybe northern counties to deliver healthcare services to the borders. So I would love our young, educated people here to really think about it from that perspective, rather than just saying numbers that seem to work from a non-rigorous perspective.
Wangari, not to cut you short, just to ask as you compound. So then does it mean, just to question, that then the counties that are making more of their own resources should get less from the government, from the share, so that it actually gives more to those ones that require it?
In terms of the equitable share, there is a very clear formula that has been done by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, right? And their job, one of their major jobs, is to say, how are we going to allocate the revenues to the counties? So they had a first formula, they had a second phase formula, and now we're on the third. Yep. So there's a very structured way in which that is done, and I think that is something that is engaged with everybody along with the commission going forward. So I think that one is settled. But in terms of own source revenue, which I think has also been talked about here, counties were not fundamentally meant to raise that much revenue. If you look at what revenues have been assigned, they've been given property taxes, entertainment taxes, which what even is entertainment taxes, and fees and charges for goods and services provided. So there's no county that is going to be able to raise enough revenues to be sufficiently viable from a local resource point of view. Maybe Nairobi has been able to be quite strong, but as you said, it's going down. But really, they've been able to have a strong revenue collection because it's a capital city, a lot of urban services, right? So if we're starting to rethink this structure, counties are going to be reliant on the national government because national government collects the big taxes, VAT, income tax, and others, right? So that is going to be, unless we change it, that is what is going to be, how it's going to be going forward. So I think what matters is the basic, I don't have an answer in terms of the number of counties. Okay. I do believe 47 is on the high side. I think 9 is on the low side. It's going to be somewhere in between, but the numbers and the analysis is what is going to determine it.
Thank you, Wangari. Thank you. Kevin.
Thank you so much. And I probably want to agree with Zinzi on a point that has been... Sorry. Sorry, and my sincere apologies for that. With Zaha on this particular issue, because the fact of the matter is that there is a very clear formula around how resources are appropriated to counties, and we also know clearly the sources of this revenue. But beyond equitable share, we also have what is called the money that goes to minority counties.
Equalization
fund. Thank you very much. Equalization fund, yeah. And so that if we can be very politically correct to also invite the spirit of political goodwill to ask counties, how much are you raising as on-source revenue? And then we review that particular formula, which is under review for the third generation now, and ask ourselves, what are the parameters that we're using? Because regardless of how much we do and how much we are going to push our sisters and mothers and wives to deliver, there are counties that will never have as many amounts or numbers of people as compared to other counties, whereas population is one of those indicators. Number two is that probably we need to also look through or think through what is called the landmass as an index of, as a factor that CRA also uses, because it is true that there are counties that are getting less, but they are quite expansive. And I think Prof brought in an example of Turkana, and we have counties like Lamu, we have Tana River, and then you go to counties like Kiambu, the number, again, is the landmass. Look at, for example, Isiolo, the numbers and the landmass, among several others. So there is some bit of conversation that I am hoping that probably this discussion will spur citizens out there who are listening to us, including us, to write petitions and memoranda, particularly when public participation process on the review of the formula begins. I'm quite impressed, Eric, because Article 179 of the Constitution, Part 4, actually calls governors chief executive officers. And this is a second thing that I think we need to begin to ask ourselves. How do you put in place as a chief executive officer of a company? And probably it was in the mind, and Prof will help us understand, of the drafters of the Constitution, that a governor actually should not be elected, but that there should be a mechanism of ensuring that this person is put in place. Hence, what we call the County Public Service Board. So do we also need to think through the TORs or the functions of the CPSB to also look at, beyond just hiring and firing and, accepting, a human resource for counties and placing them? Would it be also important to begin to ask ourselves, other than bother so much about the number of counties, because that is highly political, and we might not be very clear around how to reduce or add those numbers based on, again, what we have discussed, the principles of devolution, the objects of devolution, why Kenyans wanted devolution, inclusion issues, equity issues, among others. So as I finish, I want to propose something that I am calling here a performance-based review county governments, which means, therefore, that in my view, we maintain the 47 counties, but begin to look at expanding the formula of also access to equitable share. So that if you are accountable enough and you're able to utilize and you're able to also be obedient to the dictates of the Constitution and the requisite laws, Public Finance Management, the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, among several others, including leadership and integrity, then maybe CRA or a mechanism is put in place where you are given more share based on how you are performing also on service delivery. But beyond that is also to put in place effective mechanisms or structures that therefore strengthen citizen accountability. That way, it will not be so much concerned about the numbers, but really about the delivery processes. But ultimately, it's also to link the national government and the counties. For example, the county aggregation in industrial parks that are supposed to spur economic growth and also help the micro and small medium enterprises within counties. How far has that gone? And also, Lati, if you know the concerns and you are within Homa Bay around full devolution on functions that are still being held by national government.
Kevin,
so that
let's leave it there.
We are able to underscore that counties are doing their work
and resources are following functions at the county level.
Asante. Thank you very much, Kevin Osido. Prof, take it home for us before we look at the last word. Like, all the facts and data from tonight and from before are just going to be consolidated by Sharon. Prof?
So, three-pronged, inspired by the Holy Trinity. I think, has devolution on overall worked? I think there are gains and there are major losses or major misses. I think we know there's much greater consciousness about how government works or doesn't work. Some services which we were never used to reach the grassroots there, even during the district focus for rural development, etc. So I think there are some things which are services which are being delivered, but we must see devolution in its totality. Not just that there is now some dispensary when you used to have to travel to provincial or national headquarters. We must see it in the sense of what was intended as the core values, core objects, core principles. And on the whole, if we measure that against the amount of money that we have expended as a country, if you measure exactly, then we are underperforming. Devolution is grossly underperforming. And with the acknowledged corruption of at least 30% of those budgets are basically, or you can also compare recurrent versus development. If you compare most of those parameters, devolution is underperforming, grossly underperforming. That's why it's true, it calls for re-evaluation of actually even the objects and the principles that we wrote in 2010. Because we also know in terms of design of devolution and even design of the national executive, president, etc., whether it was going to be parliamentary or presidential system of government, that was a last-minute Naivasha compromise. Both of those issues of devolution, especially in terms of number of units, and whether presidential or parliamentary, were a last-minute Naivasha compromise, and therefore it may not be very. So, lastly, I think thirdly is that then we need to rethink reform. We need to rethink this. Some of the issues are that, in my view, I'm very clear in my mind that based on what we have learned since 2010, but also here, is that we need to 14 to 16. I think the people can discuss. The people shall discuss. The number could be 14 to 16. I think 47 as governance units. No, it's extravagant. This should not be legislative units. So the idea is that you have 14 to 16 or something like that, a smaller number of legislative governance units. Then you have number 2, administrative units. I have no problem with 47 because I'm also aware that during the BBI there was a lot of public participation that showed that people were also attached to their counties, if just by names and their geographical boundaries. So 47, I have no problem with them being administrative units. Then you have maybe a lower level, or even at that level, I have not decided that this is the people shall, whether we should have 3 levels or 2 levels. I think the people shall.
Thank you, Prof.
So I think, should governors be elected? Governors, if they are to be to the level of law-making, policy-making, election is the best. CEO is a misnomer in the Constitution. I don't know where that came from. That is normally private sector issues with a lot of powers. So finally, I think because these issues are about human beings, there's something that we have really not talked about also. Apart from how to integrate also NGCDF, so that forever there should be clear constitutional language, so that and I'm agreed with the Supreme Court, NGCDF should not be a fund to be run by people who should be legislating, representing, and oversighting.
We'll call you for an NGCDF conversation.
So let's deal with the gender issue, the nepotism clan issues in our counties, and the tribe issue. Because today, tribes or clans
we've got to
are opposed to each other. Tomorrow they may work together. So we must work towards integration and greater.
We've got to end it there. Thank you very much, Prof. Sharon.
Yes. As we come to a wrap of this discussion, I think we can agree that there has been a consensus that the approach to our question tonight should get a little twist and move from the number of counties to the metrics of, the measure of devolution itself. And Prof has spoken about the values, objects, and principles that were set for devolution. Can we measure this? Are we on a positive trajectory to meet what we are meant to achieve with devolution? And that's the question we've been answering tonight. And fiscal viability remains a key issue with the counties. Most of the counties having their budgets just running on recurrent expenditure as opposed to focusing on development. We have challenges abounding, including corruption, which leads to massive wastage. But at the same time, that there have been some achievements that have been seen through devolution, infrastructure development, but with it calling for more refined and more dedicated service delivery. So what is our last word tonight? That Kenya needs effective devolution and not merely the maintenance of 47 counties. And that if counties can clean their houses, prioritize development, and absorb budgets effectively, then the number of counties as they are becomes a non-issue at the moment. That devolution is still a work in progress. Can we measure whether we are going in the right direction? That remains the most important thing. That if not, then the discussion around rationalizing the county numbers will then become not just political, but imperative for fiscal and developmental sanity. That is the last word tonight. Many thanks for watching and contributing to this discussion. Of course, a lot more can continue to be discussed, so much to talk about, and this can continue on our different social media platforms. Thank you for my co-hosts tonight, Zaha Indimuli on the extreme right, Eric Latif. I also want to thank my guests tonight, our guests tonight, Professor Ben Sihanya, Kevin Osido, Wangari Muikia, thank you so much for your time and your input, and of course all of our audience in studio tonight. Thank you so much, and a round of applause for our audience also watching. Thank you so much and have a good night. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. This is The Last Word on NTV. Have a blessed night.